Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Brescia University. Thank you all for joining us this evening. All of you in the audience, all of you candidates that have spent so much of your time campaigning in an effort to serve the broader public in this area, and spending your time tonight to tell them a little bit more about yourselves and and to try and convince them that they ought to trust you with their votes. I'm not saying they shouldn't. You know, clearly you're going to make a choice if you vote, right? Okay, so my name is Daniel Cuthey. I'm a faculty member here at Brescia University in political science, and I'm very happy to welcome you here to our campus, where the Owensboro Human Relations Commission has arranged, organized, and is orchestrating this wonderful forum. In addition, the Owensboro Human Relations Commission will introduce you to themselves, tell you what they are, because it's an organization that has services that I hope none of you need, but if any of you need, can be very helpful. So with no further ado, I'll introduce Caitlin Nonweiler, the Executive Director of the Owensboro Human Relations Commission, and she'll tell you a bit more about that. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for attending this candidate forum for City and County Commissioner candidates. On behalf of the Owensboro Human Relations Commission, I want to thank Brescia for co-hosting this forum with us. My name is Caitlin Nonweiler. I'm the new Executive Director of the Owensboro Human Relations Commission. And the OHRC seeks to promote and secure mutual understanding and respect among all social, economic, religious, ethnic, and racial groups. The Commission also seeks to enlist support of civic leaders dedicated to improving intergroup relations and advancing the needs of the greater Owensboro area. In addition, we host events and activities in the community to raise cultural and diversity awareness. The month of October is Disability Employment Awareness Month. According to the Institute on Disability, if people with disabilities were a formally recognized minority group, at 19% of the population, they would be the largest minority group in the United States. And according to the United States Department of Labor, as of August 2018, the unemployment rate for people with disabilities ages 16 to 19 is 24%, as compared to 12.1% unemployment rate for people with no disability. And the unemployment rate for people with disabilities aged 20 to 24 is 15.7%, as compared to 6.3% unemployment rate for people with no disability. And I want to take this time to this opportunity to highlight an organization, Aspire LLC. Aspire services Davis County and surrounding counties and provides pre-employment transition services, or pre-ETS, which are services tailored to you or your child to provide the education and experience needed to enter the workforce or continue with higher education after graduating high school. So as a community, I believe we need to support these organizations and vote for policies that support rights and opportunities for minority groups. So on that note, I would like to hand the mic over to our moderator, Nahid Murtasa. She is our OHRC Board Vice President.
Thank you everyone for coming this evening, and we will start the program. Just a few basic rules. I just want to let you know, first and foremost, candidates, when you are speaking, make sure the microphone is on. And you must turn it off after you're done speaking. So you have to hold the button until it turns green and it's on. If Mr. Condor could be our little... So, and the reason why you must shut it off is it will create a static, and so, you know, it will just, no one will really be able to hear you distinctively. One more thing is, as far as the rules for this evening go, We will have, starting from Ms. Pam Smith-Wright, we're going to have each of the candidates present an opening statement. They will be timed. It's 2 minutes, and you will see your cue cards there. The moment you start speaking, the clock will be ticking. And as soon as you're done, you will hand it over the microphone to the next candidate. So we are going to initially first start with having all the candidates do their opening statement and give their platform. And then we will open it up to all of you who have so graciously taken time out this evening to come and attend and ask questions that are important to you and the community. And so the rules for you all is that when you ask a question, I would request that whoever would like to ask raise their hand. We will have 2 runners with a microphone to get to you. And when you ask, please choose 2 candidates to answer the question. Okay? 2 candidates. The commission will pick a third. The candidates will have 1 minute to respond to the questions. Now, I request that we all be respectful towards the candidates and, of course, towards this entire forum. We have been so fortunate to have all 14 of the city and county candidates here with us, and we would love to have them answer your questions. So without further ado, let's begin the evening. Ms. Pam Smith-Rice, if you could.
Good evening. My name is Pam Smith-Wright. I am your current city commissioner. This is my 4th term, and I am vying for my 5th term. A little bit something about me is that I'm a business owner and a lifelong resident of Owensboro, a graduate of Owensboro High School. I own Tastefully Yours Catering Service. I'm a cosmetologist, have been for over 50 years. You know, I just want you to know that I love Owensboro and I love this community. And I think that over the years, since I've been a commissioner, that this community has moved forward, and that's what we need to do. And I want to continue in that direction. I know that when I first was elected as Owensboro's first woman mayor pro tem, our 2nd Street was boarded up. And during the time that I have served, you can see all of the improvements in our community. Now, most people want to tell you about downtown. Everybody's sick of downtown. But the point is, downtown was just the starting of what we've done in this community. If you go to the West End in Mechanicsville, where I grew up, we have new homes down there, and we are revitalizing different parts of this community all the time. If you go on 9th Street where Germantown is, MPD, we've turned that old MPD building into homes for people of low income. And our stormwater drainage has worked. We used to flood, our streets used to flood. And, you know, we are the envy of almost every city in Kentucky and Indiana. If you go across the river and ask those people in Evansville, they don't understand how this small community, I'm sorry, I didn't even look, is my time up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, my name is Pam Smith-Wright. On November the 6th, I wish that you'd vote for me. I'm number 9, and number 9 is fine. Thank you.
Mr. Sanford, before you begin, 1 second, Mr. Sanford. Hopefully all of you should have a voter guide. All the candidates are listed on the first page of the voter guide. Their information, contact information is on the 2nd page. Some of the numbers are missing. If you could kindly contact via their email, they would be most happy to receive your calls and your questions. The following pages have the U.S. representatives in Davis County, and the last page has notes for you guys to take notes and then hopefully have some answers drawn from those notes. So right back to Mr. Sanford.
Good evening. I'd just like to say thank you to you guys for having us here tonight and Brescia University. A little bit about me. My name's Jeff Sanford. My wife Misty here, she's here, We've got 2 kids, Dylan and Peyton. I graduated from Apollo High School. She graduated from Owensboro Catholic. And we have businesses here in town, long-time residents of Owensboro. And I got into politics many years ago. Unsuccessful, I think, my very first time, but I've always believed in working really hard. And I did. I probably knocked on every door in this whole town, and that's not a lie. I really have. And I became a commissioner, 2-term commissioner, 1-term mayor pro tem. And I agree with Pam. This city has done tremendous things. Is everything perfect? No, it never will be. But I'll tell you this. You compare this city to other cities our size, and when people come into this city, and I work with them every day, they are very impressed with what we've done. And I almost feel like we've kind of hit a little bit of stall ball. We got the lead, and we're kind of sitting on it. And I say, let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep pushing. We can always get better. Because when you stop if you stop growing, you stop winning. And we got to keep winning. And I think we're doing a great job. Bowling Green, Evansville, everybody notices us. But we have got to keep pushing forward and growing this city and creating opportunities for our young people. And I think we've done that, and I think we can do a much better job in the future, and I think our future's bright. My name's Jeff Sanford, and I would appreciate your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark McCoy. I am not originally from Owensboro. I came here in 2003. I graduated from Iowa State University. I was a chief warrant officer in the Kentucky Army National Guard when I moved here. 2 of the things that I like about Owensboro is that it is moving forward. It is on a place where other cities would like to be, and I want to see more of Owensboro grow with the west side and the south side. 2 key items from my platform is the budget and transparency for all the community. I think everybody in the community needs to work together to figure out the best course of action. My name is Mark McCoy, and I am second on the ballot.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I'd like to thank the Russia for hosting. Is this thing working? Okay. I'm Jimmy Sapp, and I'm running for East Davis County Commissioner. I've been self-employed owner-operator of Twin Oaks Automotive here on the east side of town for 24 years. I've serviced about 12,000 folks in that 24 years. I've been blessed to have them to come to me repetitively. I'm hoping to keep taxes from rising in the county. I know the city has just taken a 4% rise, and from my understanding, the county is looking at doing that, the 2019-2020 budget. I'm hoping that we can get into the budget and find monies to where we don't have to raise taxes. With my experience, I believe I can dig into that and help keep taxes from raising. Everybody is being taxed to death. If you'll look, our auto insurance policy per $100, we pay $11.50 per $100 here in this city for auto insurance tax. Bowling Green pays $2.30. Lexington and Louisville pays $6.50. You know, I've got to ask, why are we being taxed so much higher than these bigger cities? And those are some of the things that I'm going to dig into and find out. I think also we need to work on being a little more business friendly. As far as people coming in, planning and zoning needs to relax a little bit. You know, we need to be strict, but I mean, they go overboard. So I'm Jimmy Sapp, East Davis County Commissioner. I appreciate your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for allowing me to share my views with you. I'm Larry Maglinger. I'm running for City Commissioner. I'm a lifelong resident and a local business owner for over 42 years. I'll provide new leadership using my business experience to find solutions and move this city forward. People ask me, why do I want to run for City Commissioner? And I tell them, I'm running for City Commissioner because I love this community. It's been good to me. I had a heart transplant 2 years ago, and that was a life-changing experience for me and my family. So today, with a clean bill of health, I'm ready to serve our city for City Commissioner. Now, I've walked a lot of precincts lately. I've talked to lots of people, and they agree that I should support responsible use of our tax dollars. As a taxpayer, I'm committed to find solutions that will move our city forward. Second thing is we have to have a safe community. We have to have the resources to hire and retain the men and women that keep our community safe. Third thing that I get is support local businesses. Owensboro should invest our tax dollars in local businesses whenever possible. Local businesses will grow. They will add jobs. Every dollar that's spent with a local business, up to 45 cents stays in the community. And I think that's very important. So, I'd like to be your next city commissioner. I'm Larry Maglinger. I'm first on the ballot, and I'm asking for your vote November the 6th. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you all for being here this evening. Thank you to the Human Relations Commission. Thank you to Brescia for hosting this event. Can you hear me better? All right. My name is Charlie Shelton. I lived in Owensboro almost all of my life. I spent a few years in Newburgh after college. I went to U of L, University of Southern Indiana, hold 2 degrees. I'm a CPA, and most recently worked for Big Rivers Electric as their risk analyst, and before that as their debt and regulatory accountant. You might say, well, what's that got to do with city government? Well, we did a lot of financial planning, a lot of financial analysis, a lot of digging into budgets, and it's a nonprofit corporation, so we're only allowed to operate on a small margin. So when you're talking about a budget nearly $500 million, and you're only expected to make $5 million, you have a 1% margin of error, and you just wiped out all your profit. So you've got to be very, very diligent in the work that you do and the planning that you do. And that brings me to the past commissions. And I'm not picking on the current commission, but we've had to raise taxes in the last 2 years multiple times and had rate increases multiple times because I think of a lack of planning. And if we had planned properly to know exactly what that expense was going to be, then we should have had the mechanisms in place to pay for the infrastructure, to pay for the improvements, to pay for all the things that we have got going on now and have done. Finally, I'll touch on my personal side real quick. I'm a member of Blessed Mother Parish, have been for almost 30 years of my life. I've been married for 10 years to my wonderful wife, Becky, and I have a 6-year-old son. And I want to see him grow and prosper in Owensboro, and I don't want to see him have to make a choice to go somewhere else for employment in the future. And I want to be able to help make Owensboro even better than it is today, because it is a great place. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for coming today. My name is Joseph Martin, and I was born and raised in Davis County. I went to Owensboro High School. I was Vietnam veteran. I came home, and I started working here and left here, came back. So I'm running for city commissioner because it needs to be changed. Things need to be better than what they are. So the same thing we have now, we have 2 years ago. They want to raise taxes. I'm against taxes, keep raising taxes. Yeah, taxes, you need to raise it sometime, but not every time you turn around. And I believe we've been raising taxes too much. And as far as the city, we've been working on some parts of the city, but not all the city. You gotta work on places. The flooding here is still continuing. We got a basin down there on Parish near the park. It still floods down there. And we need traffic lights, turning signals, and we don't have that. I asked them about it before, and no results. So if you want somebody hardworking, dependable, and honest, and looking out for your interests, I'm your man. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We really appreciate to see the turnout from all of you. We all work very hard to try to run our campaigns, and it's a blessing to see so many faces out there that we didn't get to see in the last couple of rounds. So my name's Adam Marshall. I'm 33 years old. Been married for 12 years to my wife, Mariana. We have 3 children. I manage a pawn shop. Basically, what I want to do is be a voice for those who feel they don't have a voice. I'm not a business owner. I can't tell you, how to run a specific business, but I can tell you that when you look at a bottom line, that the citizens deserve to have that voice. Okay, and a lot of times that voice is just from what, as a candidate, to know that we're going to dig into your pocketbooks when it comes time to raise a tax. It's not fair to you if you don't have that accurate representation. My degree is not in business, it's in Homeland Security. I graduated from Eastern Kentucky University with a bachelor's in Homeland Security. So it taught me a lot about looking at things from a different perspective. Okay, and my perspective is not the only one. So anytime that I'm going to stand out in front of you or to sit down and try to come up with a solution for all of our problems, it's not going to be about what my solution is. It's going to be about what the solution is for all of you. That's what we're here for. And first, I really want to make sure that you understand that I'm not here for myself. As I said last night, I'm here for you. That's what I want you to understand. So on November 6th, remember, vote 6 on the 6th. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Oh, this is louder. Oh, first of all, thank you all for having us. Thank you to Brescia as well. My name is Rick Searcy, and as you can tell, I'm a candidate for City Commission. A little bit about my background. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but I am a military brat. My father was in the Army, so I moved around a lot throughout my entire life, and I graduated from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where I played sports and football, and I ended up coming to Kentucky Wesleyan, where by the grace of God, I graduated from there with a bachelor's degree as well. So I was one of the first people in my family to ever graduate with a bachelor's degree. After that, I stayed here in Owensboro, Kentucky, and I worked primarily in the nonprofits. At first, when I graduated, I was going to be a football coach, and I was there at Wesleyan for a while, but my dreams of moving up and coaching at Ohio State never came to pass, so Urban Meyer beat me to it. So I ended up going to the YMCA part-time, and I worked my way up through there, and I became the sports and fitness director. That's when I was in much better shape back then in 2005. But after that, I've done a lot of nonprofits with the Neblett Center, as well as now I'm a vice president at Wendell Foster. Over the years, I've been able to partner and help out a lot with the human relations. I've helped out with voter registration forms. I've also helped out with many of the Unity Fests that we've done. We've all helped each other, bring each other together. Because of my background, that's the reason. I always grew up in a very diverse classrooms and diverse neighborhoods, being a military brat. So this organization, we've fought together, and sometimes, like any else, we've fought against each other a lot of times, you know. But the thing is, we continue to fight, and that's what I'll bring to City Hall. I will continue to fight for many other people. I'm not running as a perfect man, but I'm running as a man that learns from mistakes, and throughout those mistakes sometimes comes accomplishment. So on November 6th, I ask you for your vote, and I ask you to pick Rick. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Mike Koger. First of all, I'd like to thank all the veterans here tonight for your service. Presently, I'm County Commissioner for the East Division. I'm running for re-election. I'm a devoted husband and father. I'm married, been married to the same woman for 48 years. I have 2 children and 5 grandchildren. I'm pro-life. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm a small business owner for over 35 years, working approximately 50 to 100 employees a year, high-paying jobs, paying into 2 pension plans and medical insurance, and never missed a payment. I'm a devoted Christian. I'm pro-life and a lifetime resident. And I want to be a business leader that wants to continue to work for the people. I've not heard about the 4% tax rate raise that was mentioned a while ago, and I don't believe that will happen, but we've got some tough choices that we're going to have to make in the next year or so, one being with the increased costs in our pension plan. Not sure how we're going to deal with it, but any challenge that we face, I think we can take care of it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jay Vallata. Thanks to Brescia. Thanks to the Owensboro Human Relations Commission for having us this evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you folks, and it's good to see so many people in the crowd because I think we were here Tuesday, and Larry, there weren't that many people here, even for a state rep thing. So thank you for coming out. Glad everyone's interested. What are we doing about the city? Well, you know, I'm currently a sitting commissioner, and it's been a pleasure to serve this community for the past 2 years as my first term comes to the close. And I hope that I get the opportunity to do some more of this stuff because what we're working on are things to continue with the progress. Everybody talks about progress, but one of the things that I hear in a lot of the conversations are kind of concerning. It's about, you know, we're raising the taxes. Well, you know, you have to have support for the community to make things grow. But again, there is a limit, as has been seen by some of the actions in the past couple of weeks. Over the years of taxation, we have to continue to be progressive, and part of that is continuing to grow our infrastructure. We have to take care of those folks that take care of us, people like the police and fire, first responders. Those guys are important to our community. But every citizen is important. It's not about the city always. It's about the citizens in the city. They're the ones that we're here serving, and we have to continue to support because they're the ones that support us. So how does that work? Well, we talked a little bit about it yesterday whenever we were in another forum about the 50,000 plus people out here that are the ones that tell us what we need to do. You have to be open to that for the engagement. You have to be visible, you have to be available, and you have to learn to understand that it's not always going to be what we want, but we can always work with a compromise to try to make sure we come to a common ground and collaborate with each other. Collaboration in the city is things like trying to find ways to save tax dollars by increasing the use of our services, by using the ability to work with our county folks here, Mike and the fiscal court, to maybe figure out ways to combine services. I'm Jay Vallata, and I'd appreciate your vote on November the 6th. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Megan Hagan. It's so nice to be here with you guys tonight. I am here because there was a call for more women to run for office, and I've worked in politics for 18 years, and I thought, let's do it. I believe in more transparency in government, and I believe in bettering the citizens. I'm not here to work for the government. I'm here to work for all of you. I'm not going to be, I'm not a cookie cutter girl, and I'm not a cookie cutter candidate. I was a delegate for Bernie Sanders, and I was, while a delegate, I was elected state at large. I whipped enough votes, and if Bernie would have won, I would have been in the Electoral College. I am now the secretary of the Young Jewish Caucus, Young Democrats of America, and I have served on several boards, one right now being the HRC. Thank you guys tonight. By the way, Caitlin, you are doing an excellent job. I'm very, very lucky to be working with all of you. I just wanted to say thank you for coming out tonight. I have a 5-point plan for Owensboro, and it starts with the fairness ordinance. And one of the questions last night was, what can we do that's for free that can benefit the citizens? Ordinances will help citizens that don't necessarily have a voice. And also, it would be my final love letter to the LGBTQIA community, who was the reason that I got into politics. I'm kind of embarrassed at the fact that that Maysville has now passed us up for the fairness ordinance. The second thing is more solar energy. Someone said last night about coal. Coal is not coming back. Stop lying to people. The future is solar energy. Sorry, guys.
Good evening. My name's Andy Gamblin, and I want to thank y'all for hosting this, and I want to thank Brewster College. I'm running for city commission because I want to be a voice for the people. We do have high taxes here, and I want to be that person that look at ways where we can cut taxes, because people are suffering big time. And also, we need to be looking at ways we can bring in high-paying jobs here. And just like some of them has done said, yes, we need to be working with our county government. And then also the county and city, when something's going on in Frankfurt, we need to go up there and tell our representatives and our state senators and let our governor know, hey, take care, get this pension thing fixed, and don't be putting it on the burden of the county and the city. We need to be that voice. And like I said, we need to be looking at a way we can bring high-paying jobs and clean coal. The Obama administration, he put a lot of regulation on coal. He killed the coal. But thank the Lord, I don't know how y'all feel, but President Trump, he lifted those regulations, and he's bringing coal back. And we can't have clean coal. And also, we need to be reining in OMU. OMU is out of control. And we need to look at, we got a river down here. We could put these turbines in the river, and that would produce a lot of electricity for us. That's what we need to be looking at. Thank you, and God bless you.
Best for last? Maybe not. A little early, we had 4 microphones, but I thought about us maybe singing We All Live in a Yellow Submarine, but Pam wouldn't join in on that karaoke, would you, Pam? I didn't think so. My name is Larry Conder. I'm current city commissioner. Yeah, they just didn't like what I was about to say. There we go. You need to come on over here. Come on over here. Come on, Adam. There you go. There you go. Stop the time.
Sorry about that.
You got it? You all right? And so what I wanted to do is shift gears here just a little bit and not necessarily just talk about taxes or infrastructure or police. But I know that several people here from the Human Relations Commission, Naheed, and now your new job, Caitlin, have a little bit of passion that they probably want to talk about tonight in different subjects. Whether that be a fairness ordinance in relationship to housing or employment, or a landlord-tenant act. And we'll dance around that subject, and we will. It'll happen. You'll hear it. But the biggest thing probably that even the Human Relations Commission needs to begin to think about is something that I've read that really impacts everyone, that is at the root of many of our issues, and that's loneliness. We have forgotten how to be neighbors. And we're forgetting that even more and more every day. We're forgetting it in our families, in our family structures, and how that is impacting not only what we do with our time, but our addictions to alcohol, into drugs, into everything else to fill up our days is what it's doing. So whenever we have these issues that face us, we can talk about those issues of the day, but for the future, we should really be concentrating on why we disconnect from each other and how that relates to volunteerism, how that presents itself to our agencies that don't have people that are really being able to function in these places. So I hope that maybe we can move the conversation more to becoming more of neighbors to each other. Stop the cavernous issues that we have that's becoming so bad in between our conversations, especially that's on social media. That needs to begin to go away. My name is Larry Condor, number 8 on your ballot. I hope for your vote.
We are right on time. The next segment of this evening will be from you all, the public. We are hoping that you will ask all the questions that you need answered. We're hopefully starting the question answer session, and if there's a little request. As you can see, there's only 2 people running for county commissioner. So if you, someone from the audience, can start and direct the first question towards the county commissioners that are running, that would be wonderful. The rules are as follows. Whoever asks the question, you must choose 2 candidates to answer, and the commission will choose the third randomly. Candidates, you have 1 minute to give your answer and response. Again, I remind you all that we all have taken time out to come and attend this wonderful event, and if we could be respectful to each other and you know, see the wonderful fruits of this evening, it would be most wonderful. Thank you so much. And can I please have the first question for the 2 candidates running for county commissioner? Not really.
I mean, I live in the county too, so.
All right. My name is Jake English. I'm a county resident. I have 2 young children, and I hear a lot of things about taxes and raising taxes and hearing that. And then Jay said something about sharing. You know, I don't want to become an issue where the city's going to get in trouble and we're going to be sharing. The burden's going to fall on the county. That's the number one thing. And everybody's quick fix is always, you know, the water thing with OMU is we're going to raise taxes. It's always the quick fix for everything. And you know, when having 2 young children, you know, I don't want that burden falling back on my kids. And the next thing is pension for the county employees, non-hazardous and hazardous employees. That's you know, for the teachers and all that stuff, we have to start worrying about pension. And I guess my question is, for this year, the burden is going to be for the candidates. How do you plan to fund the pension plan of $300,000 this year, $600,000 for the next year, and then the third year is going to be $1.2 million?
Can we start with Mr. Sapp to answer?
Sure. Good question. Well, as I said, taxes are a big burden on everybody, and we've got to get in that budget, and we can't buy a county engineer a Platinum Expedition for him to drive around. That vehicle is, you know, $40,000 more than a pickup that he could have drove around, and there's one way of saving money to go toward that. Other ways is, you know, just like at home, we've got to budget what we got coming in, and knowing of these expenses that we've got coming down the road, you know, and we can't continue to raise taxes. And if you'll go back to the minutes of the meeting, whenever I had the opposition in the primary, Mike Koger was asked to come up to the thing, and he did say that it looks like the county would be doing a 4% increase in taxes, and I oppose that, you know. But we can get in that budget and find the money to cover the pensions. Thank you.
I didn't say anything about 4% tax increase because it affects me as well. What we're going to have to look at, this 300,000, it's not set in stone yet. It's still, I think, in the higher courts. So, but what's been told to us is $300,000. Couple of things coming up. We do have money in the bank. We pay our bills. We can't afford to pay for the next 2 years out of our general budget or money. And but the thing is, I guess this coming year we'll pay our bonds off Western Kentucky University. Hopefully in 3 to 3.5 years we'll pay off the convention center. It's going to save us some money because we've been making more payments. But even though if you take the $300,000 out, say the first year, we're going to have to come up with a plan how we're going to replace some of it. And we don't know right now what that plan is. Our commission is great. We all are from different business aspects. And we're going to look at this really, really hard because it's for the people. And that's what we'll be watching really close. Thank you.
Questions?
Can Jay talk about what he meant by shared? Is the county going to take some of the burden of the city?
Sure, if I can.
One second. So we are live streaming, and anyone who's watching will not be able to hear any one of us unless we direct the questions with the microphone. So 1 second. Yes, absolutely. Please repeat the question.
Yeah, I just wanted Jay to kind of touch bases on what he said by shared revenue and shared taxes. I just want to make sure none of the burden from the cities falls back on the county residents.
Sure.
Because in my opinion, the city's taken on a lot, especially with the new Bluegrass Museum. In my opinion, the convention center was built wrongly and should have been built differently. And now we got a Bluegrass Museum that we have to pay for, and there's going to be maintenance costs in that. And my question is, what did you mean by shared? Do you mean by shared taxes, or is the city going to try to get the county to cover the burden of the city?
No, that's not.
Would you pick one more candidate to answer that question? Anyone, pick one.
Pam.
Pam Smith, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we will pick Mr. Joseph Martin.
Sorry, Pam.
So three people will answer: Mr. Valletta, Pam Smith Rice, and Mr. Martin.
Okay, so what I meant by that was collaborative efforts to try to combine services, which would be things like maybe shared park services, where we have a lot of parks and recs and a lot of shared green space. It didn't have anything to do with taxes or any kind of answer to the tax question. We have our own set of taxes. The county manages their own taxes as well. We don't have anything to do with what the county does in regard to taxes and how that money is used. And I don't think the city is reverting back to the county. I mean, if the city was to go bankrupt, which statutorily we can't have a negative balance or a deficit in the city budget. That's statutorily wrong, and if it was, we would have a problem with the city. But the things that we can look at are possibly services that would be great for all the citizens. The county citizens come into the city to use the services. Now, we have road issues. There's a lot of money that's been put in play over the years by the state and federal governments to service roads, and we have, I think it's 1 in 12 of who actually use the roads in the city compared to the county roads and the state highways. So we have to look at ways to try to figure out how to get more of the state and federal money into the city so that we can do that. Home rule is a good answer, and we can talk, I'm sure we'll get to talk more about that later. Thank you.
Ms. Wright?
I didn't say that. So, no, I don't think that the city will be looking for the county to pay anything that we are responsible for. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Mr. Martin?
Yeah, the city and county on a lot of things are separate. Some things they can do together. We need to save money. We need to sort of, I know some ways to save some money. We need to like make the ambulance service with the fire department, because every time somebody go in an ambulance to the hospital, you got to pay for that. It should be part of the fire departments, because taxpayers are already paying for the fire department, for the ambulance service. But there are other ways you can cut costs by not having 4 or 5 people in one job, have a couple of people in one job, and then put the other people on the other jobs, and you sort of combine that and save some money.
Thank you. Questions from the audience? Please pick 2 candidates.
Questions for Larry Magdalena and Rick Searcy. I want to know, what are your positions on the housing ordinance and the, I just went blank, the housing ordinance and the fairness ordinance, please?
The commission chooses Mr. Sanford to answer that as well.
I'll answer the fairness orders first. Everyone should be treated fairly. If there is a ordinance written that treats everybody fairly, then I would be for it. As far as the housing, I think you're talking about the Kentucky Uniform Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. Am I true? Okay. So I've talked to some landlords, and they use that as their guideline. Now, if there needs to be one written for Owensboro, because it's already a state act, I would consider it. But the people that I have talked to, they use that as their guideline to be fair. Thanks.
Thank you, Terry, for that question. And that's a very good one. It's something that, over the years, I've always fought for people's rights, with that being said. And I'm going to answer that both together, all right? So when it comes to the fairness ordinance as well as a Fair Housing Act, there are already legislations in place. Now, in order for me to move away from those legislations to add extra ordinances, I would like to see the data that where there are holes or people are getting discriminated against that these current laws are not protecting people for. It's not something that right now, as of today, that I can move forward towards, but if those situations are there and they are presented and we can see where people need these protections, then absolutely that is something I would definitely be willing to consider. Thank you.
Okay. As far as the fairness ordinance, I believe we had a meeting. I believe you were there, Arnie. I think it was maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And the way I look at it, it's got to be fair. A fairness ordinance got to be fair to everyone. I mean everyone. And also, I think we went over some data. And if the data indicates that we do have a problem in our community, then that needs to be looked at for sure. But, as far as the data, I have not seen anything so far. I think we have a great community. I think people treat each other with respect. Are there situations? Absolutely. But this community treats everybody pretty much with respect. As far as the housing, it's got to be fair on both sides. It's got to be fair to the landowner and the tenant. I mean, it's got to be where both parties win. And there needs to be protection for both, for the investor and the renter. Thanks.
Questions? Please pick 2 candidates.
Okay.
Before picking two candidates, would any two like to volunteer to answer the question? Okay, Larry and Megan. In your professional career, what's the biggest mistake that you've made, and what did you learn from it?
And the commission picks Mr. Marshall.
You want me to go first? Okay. Awesome. Professional career, other than being a city commissioner, there are two of them that I have. I'm actually a natural gas broker. Okay, that's my real job instead of other than taking the trash out. Also a real estate. We have some things that we've done downtown that we redeveloped and for tenants. Now, biggest mistake I ever made, right, was not realizing fast enough that I could have done so much more if I'd have left Texas Gas sooner than I did. Joe Mitchell sitting here, he knows my background of what I did. And that mistake actually caused a lot of things, but it also opened up a whole lot of other opportunities. I have had some failed businesses. You can call those mistakes, I guess, but I learned from them. That actually happened too. But I've always enjoyed every business that I've been in, including especially being a city commissioner. Those type of jobs are very, very rewarding. You may have a couple of people that kind of get under your skin, but most of the time it is such a rewarding position to be in. So hopefully that answered your question.
Hey guys. So I am very humbly here to tell you what my biggest mistake of my professional career is. I, in November, decided I was running. Well, because of name recognition, I decided that I was going to enter the race fairly early. I was accused of plagiarism, and that was not fun because I'm a freelance writer, and I enjoy writing, and it's what I've been doing since I was 12. So what I've learned from that was, just to cut through to the chase, basically, I had hired someone to do my website in 15 seconds. What I learned from it is to trust my own voice. I should have just written it to myself because I know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
So the biggest mistake I could probably say I would have made in my professional career would be basically letting my emotions sometimes take the best of me. A lot of times when you get involved in situations or decisions, when you feel like you've got your best foot forward and you've got the right idea, that sometimes you're not always right. And I'll be honest with you, my wife can attest to this. I'm not always right. So a lot of times though, it's hard for me to sometimes pull my emotions out of it. But what I've learned from many of those situations is that, open your ears, listen to everyone that's around you, and you don't have to be right. It's okay to be wrong, but understand that you have to take all the information that you have in front of you and try to make the best decision possible. And that's just the way I manage them from now on.
Please choose your candidates, the two candidates.
The two candidates are Andy and Jay Vallata. So my question is for city commissioners.
And the commission would like to ask Mark McCoy to answer as well.
First, I would like to address or just make a statement from something I heard. And I didn't tell you my name. It's Joe Mitchell. I'm retired from Texas Gas. I've lived in Owensboro. I graduated from Brescia in 1983. And I think the only other time I've been to one of these meetings or forums was Larry and I attended one when we were both at Brescia. I know that other cities envy our development and the progress that we've made on our riverfront. And I do think that Owensboro taxpayers are the reason that we have done that and done so well. I don't think that the other cities would envy our city government budget and the shortfall. So my question really comes based on the budget and overspending, because I think we all know, and we've all seen we've all seen that taxes just keep going up and up and up. So whether it's OMU or whether it's property tax, we just keep paying more. And thank you, Jimmy Sapp, for that information on insurance being taxed. That was a very, very helpful piece of information. So the question comes back to, when you're managing your own budget for your household, you may have a wish list, but you have to pay the bills first. And I think that's a roof over your head and food, and if you have children, their education fund. And I think we try to make wise decisions over our households. So I think our city commissioners should try to make wise decisions as well. So the question
Mr.
is...
Mitchell, yes. Question, please.
I'm sorry. Where do you stand on lighting the bridge? And it's a two-part question. Number two is, how do you feel about putting that on a ballot and letting the voter, the taxpayer who's ultimately paying for it, have a say in that decision?
Okay, the lighting the bridge, it would be a great thing. It would be good, but you got to have upkeep on that. We'd have to look how much it would cost for the upkeep, and to me, we probably should not be looking at that right now. What was the other question? Should it be put on the ballot? Yes. I think that would be a great idea. You know, let y'all have the say. If y'all want to see the bridge, lights on the bridge, and let it be put on the ballot.
As far as lighting the bridge, I don't know if I've ever been here when the bridge has been lit. But I think it'd be a good idea to have it lit. It's another focus of the city. Whether or not to be on the ballot, I think that's probably a fair assessment. It should be up to the citizens of Owensboro to decide, and not just the city commissioners or the city officials.
Good question, Jody. As far as the bridge lighting, it's another piece of placemaking. We see a lot of art around town, and this actually been on the wish list, or what do we call that? The working list of projects. It's on the project list for the city, and there's been a lot of interest in that. So as far as lighting it, there's been funds set aside for that, and it's taxpayer dollars, but that's what people have told us that they want. Now, this goes back to how do we get it done? To put it on the ballot, that has to be part of the home rule project, which means the state has to allow us to do that. We can't just vote things through the city on a ballot until home rule comes into play, and they allow us to make decisions here locally with our tax dollars that are left here in the city to be used how we see fit, as opposed to sending them to Frankfurt and then deciding how much they want to send back. This goes into effect with more than just that, like restaurant taxes and things of that nature. So I'd love to put it on the ballot. I think the citizens have the right to choose how they want to see their tax money spent, and I think home rule is a great way to do that by putting things on the ballot for them to decide. Thank you.
Questions? So, yes. Mr. Tandy? Please pick two candidates.
I'd like to pick Pam Smith-Wright and Charlie Shelton as an experienced...
One second. The commission would like to... did you say Charlie Shelton?
Yes.
Okay, great. And the commission would like to pick Mark McCoy.
As an experienced council person and a hopeful council person, I'd like your perspectives on what the pacing is of the city commission. Like, how long does it take to take a really good idea and see it to fruition?
Wow, that's a great question. It really depends on what the idea is and all the working parts that go into that idea. You know, when the commission sits down and decides that there's a project that we want to do, there's a whole lot of planning that goes into it. And I would like for you to know there's Wayne Shelton sitting right behind you, who is part of everything that we do, and he's masterful in knowing, you know, placement and how this will work and how that will work. There are all kinds of people, our city engineers, the city manager, there are all kinds of people at City Hall that take into consideration how this thing will go to work and not. Let me say this real quick. There was a time that I wanted to put 660 flags in Smothers Park in honor of those veterans that killed themselves at a rate of 22 a day. And Wayne Shelton and his people planned that and had it all set up the way it should be.
Thank you.
Well, when it comes to making something happen, it depends on the scope and the size of the project. And when it's something that's small and can be taken into consideration immediately, like the flags, you know, obviously that's something we can do. But when it comes into, you know, capital expenditures or something of the nature that takes more planning, you can't just say tomorrow we want to go spend $1 million, because obviously you have to budget and plan for that. So it just depends on the time frame and when you're looking to accomplish the project. So, you know, just say like downtown, for instance, it didn't start overnight. It was planned. And while I think they could have done some things differently, obviously, because we've had the tax increases because of poor planning for the actual expenditure itself, and the tax mechanisms they put into place didn't work or work to the efficiency, the level that they wanted. We've got to be looking at those types of things and not just saying
Thank you.
plus or minus, you know, yeah, okay.
As far as planning, I guess my take on it is it takes as long as it takes. I think you should get information from everybody, and it shouldn't be in a time frame. If it's something you want to do that's short term, then it's basically short term. But if it's something that's going to be long lasting, like downtown, it may take years, and you have to get the information from everybody, the citizens, the city, the state. So it's a long process.
Please pick 2 candidates, and the commission will pick the third.
Mr. Larry Conder and Mr. Jay Velota. And I know it takes time to plan and budget things, but if you receive the $1 million grant to use for any way, how would you want it to be done, and what would you do with it, and why?
The commission would like to pick Charlie Shelton.
So you're saying, let me clarify the question. I'm given $1 million grant, and I can do anything I want to with it. What's the first thing I would do for the city is to initiate a revitalization program for our blighted areas. So I know we already have some programs in place that are helping folks out with, you know, whether it's new front porch, new facade, new roof, whatever it may be in certain areas. I'd like to expand that, because there are a lot of many citizens that are on fixed incomes, especially our older folks, that can't afford to do those repairs, and the neglect just starts to build up over time. And if we could alleviate those problems before they become problems, to where people are living in dilapidated homes, and you know, you got the roof, literally their ceilings are caving in, and they're living in horrible conditions. If we can fix that before it ever becomes a problem by offering them that service, and that's exactly what we need to be doing.
To follow up just a little bit on what Charlie just said, there's such a thing that was just been organized by the federal government called opportunity zones. What opportunity zones are designated by the state and then come down to the local level for government. And they take these zones, these footprints, and what you can do is have developers then come in and or the government, local government, buy these lands up is what they can do. Either remodel, refurbish them, and then sell them off. What difference does that make? What that means is you can take that $1 million, change place, change what you'd like to do, and then the investors that come in to rebuild back up are able to discard the capital gains tax. What does that mean? That means significant areas that Charlie was referring to that are on the west side, West Parish Avenue, can actually be then brought up with a $1 million grant to begin that process for that entire area. That's what we have to do is the opportunity zones to be able to do that. I'd love to have the $1 million to do it.
Well, they both stole my thunder because I was going to talk a little bit about the blighted areas, but you know, to touch on that, a lot of it takes private and public partnerships, the 3 Ps to get that deal done. One of the things that I would like to see is possibly a recruitment effort made to. We talk about workforce issues and trying to get people in here. If we're going to work on the blight, we're going to have people to do that, and one of those ways to do that would maybe be to do a recruitment with not just local folks. We'd love to everybody to be employed, but we have a low unemployment rate right now. So maybe we go to Fort Knox, Fort Campbell, get some soldiers that are getting ready to be discharged. But if I had $1 million to do anything I wanted to do with, what I'd like to do would make an all-inclusive park for people with disabilities, ADA. Let's put something together to give everybody an opportunity to be inclusive, and that'd be a great opportunity. If we could do it with $1 million, man, we could maybe retrofit one of our current parks, or even add an area where people can go and be inclusive and be included in those in that area. I think that'd be a great opportunity.
Thank you. Please pick 2 candidates and then let us pick one.
Yeah, I'll just sit down. Okay, I'm going to direct this towards Adam and Mr. Conder. We are surrounded by larger cities, including Louisville and Evansville, and those drugs are reaching our community, and I feel hitting home closer and closer. As far as combating opioid addiction locally, what are your ideas for the community?
The commission would like to hear Rick Searcy answer that.
Okay, well, one of the issues that is probably going to be coming before the City Commission very soon is going to be a needle exchange program. A needle exchange program of and in itself is just something for individuals to be able to come in that have issues with drugs, and we're seeing more and more now with fentanyl and carfentanil that just happen in trafficking. This issue is coming hard and it's coming fast. The needle exchange program, if established, which I believe we will be able to do so, helps with that in the beginning, to be able to prevent that over an extended period of time is what it does. But we see the drug issues dramatically in our community, especially with meth. My wife is the executive director of CASA for children, and in court she sees it with families. The meth issue and the drug issue is becoming more and more and more in our own little island. Even though we're not on an interstate, it's getting here now, and it's getting here even more. So that issue has got to be in front of everyone's mind each and every day because it affects all of our families.
Emma, that's a great question. I think our community we have an amazing community that really helps one another when that time comes. But I think the biggest thing that we can do is help provide the resources for all of the community groups and organizations to help fight some of those issues. The second part is to make sure that we have the resources for our law enforcement officers to make sure that they can continue to fight that. It's not going to be an easy task. Anytime there's issues with drugs, there's an underlier. It's not because it's a lot of that comes from emotional issues with some people that they end up with a drug or opiate addiction. you know, how can we help that? That's what we need to do. We really need to focus on helping people out emotionally, being there for one another, remembering we're a community, and that we can come and help one another when these issues arise.
Thank you.
I agree with what Commissioner Condor and Adam said as well. There are many organizations and drug alliances, as well as, you know, Friends of Sinners, that are here that need more resources to help fight that battle on the front end. Also, you know, once we fight the treatment side of it, we have to look at, once these addictions are kicked, we have to look at employment opportunities, because that will help stop this cycle. Once people kick the addiction, they need to be able to get back added into the job force. That way they have something else to work for and to build their family back and be a positive citizen. So that's the answer to that one. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to direct that question to our two county candidates as well, because, you know, opiate addiction also happens in the county as well.
Yes, it is a big problem. I think what would really help, I believe, is the citizens getting more involved and letting the police know anything that they see that is suspicious. If they know of someone that's, you know, a kid that's getting into this, you know, help the kid, turn him in. You know, I had a friend that his daughter has been on meth, and a lady took him in and showed him where people are dying, and showed a wall of pictures, and he said there was like 64 pictures of young kids. And this man, he took and he set his daughter up and had the sheriff's department come and pick her up. I mean, it's potentially going to save her life, and that's what, you know, we all need to look toward, is helping our sheriffs and Owensboro Police Department and all catch these that are selling this stuff to these kids. Thank you.
Well, presently, we've been in conversations with the needle exchange program. We feel like something may happen in the first year. Drugs is a serious problem. I don't know if we can ever get rid of it because too much money involved. But by them coming to the health department and getting the needles, they'll be able to try to talk that person into treatment, and that's the big thing. Also, HIV is a like hepatitis, I think type B or C, I can't remember which. But for that individual, it costs between $70,000 to $80,000 a year to treat them, and they feel like this is going to knock that down. And so, like I say, we're going to look at it. The city's looking at it, and I'm sure together that's what they'll want us to come and do the program. And it's not going to cost taxpayers any more money. They can do it with the staff that they presently have. Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for serving or willing to serve this community. This question goes to any volunteer who is a candidate who owns a business, and anyone who is a commissioner who owns a business. So any volunteers? Okay, thank you.
And the commission picks Larry Maglinger.
Thank you. Owensboro has 20.4 poverty below poverty rate right now of population. That's compared to 14% nationwide, so it's significantly over 30%. As the small business owners that wants to cut taxes, pretty much everybody across the board wants to cut taxes because Owensboro has such high taxes, despite the fact that we're pretty average in comparison to the United States in general, in terms of local taxes. Here's the question. Given those conditions, two-part question. Number one, in your educated opinion, what causes such a high rate of poverty in Owensboro? And number two, what is your specific plan? Not, I would like to see something that an action put in place, doesn't have to be in detail, that you would like to do to alleviate that problem. Thank you.
As far as poverty, you know, as a business owner, I think poverty is because a lot of people don't have opportunities and don't have jobs. I think that we need to do everything we can to get people on the workforce. I know that the wages are low, and I know our taxes are reasonable, but the key is to get people in the workforce and provide the jobs. And we need trained people. We need trained people for the jobs. The Owensboro Vocational is a good place to start that. So I would, as a business owner, like to see more opportunities for people to work. Thank you.
As a small business owner, run a construction company for, like I say, over 35 years. We got to start in a middle school with get the people interested in a skilled trade. We can't find plumbers, electricians, carpenters, or anybody out there today that wants to work, number one. But if they'll go like an HVAC person, for instance, they could probably make $70,000, $80,000 a year. Their only investment is a lunchbox and transportation, and they go to school, and a lot of times they can go to school for free. So I think you've got to hit that market. I was toured a few schools just recently, and you talk about the poverty, and I was in these elementary schools, and a lot of kids in those schools have never owned one new pair of tennis shoes, for instance, for an example, and that's sad. I think the opportunity is out there. I think the job market is out there, but we got to teach and help these people get trained. Thank you.
Okay, as far as poverty, I think it all comes down to education. And I agree a lot with what Mike said here. Skilled trade is where it's at. I run into people every day who are begging for employees. They can't find them. So education in the skilled trades, that is huge. That can lift, actually, in a lot of cases, it's a better opportunity for people to get a skilled trade than it is a 4-year degree. They can do so much better. People across the country are begging for these people. Diesel mechanics, carpenters, welders, all these things. They are 6-figure incomes, and these kids that are living in poverty need to be shown these things. They have a chance to change their life and their families forever. But I think that's the place we need to be looking at is skilled trade, and that's where we need to invest our time with these young people and into poverty. Thanks.
So we are now going to take our last 2 questions and then go back to the candidates and have them give a 1-minute closing statement. Please state 2 candidates.
Pamela Smith Wright, Larry Conder.
And the commission chooses Megan Hagan.
When was the last time that the property tax was raised? And it recently being voted on to be raised this time, how much are we actually talking about? And I'm directing that to you right now.
The last time the property tax was raised was 8 years ago. And what a lot of people don't understand is that we are talking about $4 per $100,000 worth of property. If you have a $100,000 house, your tax bill is $4 for the year. We're talking about 33 cents a month. You know, and everybody is talking about how high our taxes are, but if we had raised these taxes when we should have been along the way, it wouldn't seem that much. But we put ourselves in that position, and that's why we had to do that. Thank you.
I believe that Pam answered the first part of the last time the property tax rate was increased. Property taxes, whether it's city or county, go up every year. And that's simply because of value that continues to escalate. So the rate itself is what Ms. Smith-Wright referred to, that is correct. So looking at today, most people don't realize whenever you see your property tax bill, if you look at that in in earnest, really do. 2/3 of that bill is your city school system. 1/3 is the city government. Same thing happens actually on the county side, but the county side is probably even more than 2/3, I would suspect, of what it is. So it's even more on the county side of what the school system charges. So most people lose that in whenever they see their bill, that, oh, the city raised their taxes or the county raised their taxes. It's really, you have the cities, the school systems, and then the appreciation of your value. That is actually what you got to look at. So you got to make sure you see that when you look at your bills, okay?
No more tax raises. That's one of my, that's on my platform. I don't think that the taxpayer should have to take any more burdens. Just keep it where it's at right now. As far as taxes are concerned, I do believe that a logical tax to start right now would be a vacant commercial property tax. Vacant commercial property tax, for those of you who don't know, it's an excellent idea for, it's a good idea for people that are, the American dream is to own your own business. It's an incentive for people to lower the the properties, sorry, and, sorry.
Thank you. We have our last question back here.
Yes, this question is directed for Joseph Martin, Andy Gamblin,
and Mr. Charlie Shelton.
We briefly touched on the subject of education and the important role it plays in our economy and in our community. So what is your position regarding charter schools?
Charter schools are a no-win situation, in my opinion. I believe our school system here in Owensboro and Davis County speaks for themselves. They do very well. I do not want our education dollars to be privatized. I think that's part of the problem with Frankfort currently is a lot of things in the past went to private entities. They got their hands on it, and greed, as we all know, can turn a lot of people on each other, and I think that's what's happened in Frankfort in these past years. And I think they are doing a much better job of heading in the right direction, and we may not agree on it on the path, but we cannot have charter schools. That's all I've got for that one.
Yeah, I think chartered schools is not the way to go. What we need to look at is the kids learning what they're learning in school? When I was in high school, you know, they could do much more. You know, you got step by step. You know, if the kid got a question, a lot of kids in school don't want to raise their hand. They think, well, I don't want to be stupid. But we got to teach our kids it's good to raise hand, answer a question. But we need to go step by step. You teach a kid a subject, does everybody understand? Then we move on. But the problem is they move on without them knowing what they're supposed to learn. And then they graduated from high school or grade school, and they still don't know what they learned. So I think we're doing okay except for that part. Thank you.
I work for the school system. I'm a bus monitor, and I'm for the public education charter schools. I'm against them. Okay, and we do need discipline back in our schools, and to me, I think we need prayer back in the schools too. Like I said, we need discipline, we need prayer, and our school, Washington needs to get off our backs, you know. Washington is hurting us, Washington, D.C. You know, we know our state and our city and our county, they know how to take care of the schools. Davis County is good, Owensboro Independent is good too. So we need to stick with public education, and we need to let our legislators know that charter schools are not the answer.
We're here for our final segment. We would like to have each of the candidates give their closing statement. Please limit that to 1 minute each, please. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Brusha and the Human Relations Commission for having this forum tonight, and I hope that each of you have learned something about these candidates. What I want you to have learned about me is my record. I've been your city commissioner for the last 4 terms, and I think my record speaks for itself. I've been here for the community. I've been here for each citizen that's here. And my office has always been open. You could call me anytime. I would just ask that you would continue your support for me. I promise to do the very best that I can, as I always have. My name is Pam Smith Wright. I'm number 9, and number 9 is fine on the ballot. Please go out and vote for the candidate of your choice on November the 6th. And I thank you very much.
I would also like to thank you guys for having us here tonight. These things are very important, so you guys can figure out what team you want to put out on the floor. And I think I mentioned this last night downtown. You know, all these people are working hard. They're doing their very best. This is not easy to do. And being a city commissioner takes a lot of time and dedication. I will tell you, it says part-time, but there's no part-time to this thing. It's full-time. It's all the time. And you got to be there all the time. And you've got to know how this thing works. That's why I'm running, is because I have experience. I've done this. I've worked very, very hard. As far as the taxes go, real quick, I just wanted to say some of the things that we voted on years ago, I told everybody we were eating the elephant a little bit too fast. Now it's come back to bite us a little bit. But you have to move forward, but maybe not at that pace. And once again, thanks everybody for having me. Jeff Sanford, I appreciate your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. My name's Mark McCoy. I'm number 2 on the ballot. Hopefully you learned something from all of us tonight. And just have a good night. Thank you.
I'm Jimmy Sapp, again running for East Davis County Commissioner. I want to thank everyone, especially the college, for having us out here. I want to thank the veterans because they've given us the freedom that all of us enjoy. Again, you know, vote for the candidate, get to know your candidate. If any of you have seen my signs around, my phone number is on every sign, every card I hand out. I think a commissioner needs to be accessible. I think the people need to be able to call him direct, and he should show up, show his concern, and see what the commissioners can do to help all that's in this community. Again, thank you, and vote for Jimmy Sapp. Thank you.
And I want to thank Brescia and the Owensboro Human Relations Commission for allowing us to have this forum. I'm Larry Maglinger, and I'm running for City Commissioner, and I'll provide new leadership. I have the vision and the experience to move this city forward. I want to do this job because I think the city is a very good place to live and raise a family. So I would like for you to consider me on November the 6th. I'm number 1 on the ballot. Thank you very much.
Kind of redundant, but thank you, Father Larry. Thank you, Brescia, and thank you to the Human Relations Commission for hosting this event. My name is Charlie Shelton again. I asked for your vote on November 6th. I am a CPA. I can do the job. I want to do the job. We have to start making the tough decisions, needs versus wants. And yes, you know, we don't want to see taxes go up. And I've harped a little bit on, you know, the tax increases in the past couple of years. But if it came down to planning and it was properly planned, those tax increases would have already been passed. The buck wouldn't have been passed, and we could have moved forward in the future. And so going forward, I think we all need to join together to move forward together and have a vision that is ours and not one person or one individual, not one group's, but the entire city's vision for the future. I ask for your vote on November 6th, and again, my name is Charlie Shelton. Thank you.
As a city commissioner, I will listen to your ideas and concerns. Two things I will ask myself. Can we afford it or do we need it? You have a right to know what goes on in your city. I support working families, fire, police department, senior citizens, and veterans. You know, you can have experience, but if you don't apply what you know for the people, then it won't work. Thank you.
Again, thanks to Owensboro Human Relations and Brescia for having us here tonight. And I ran because I wanted to be a voice, a different voice on the commission. A lot of times, some of the other generations don't feel like they have a voice. Even every generation sometimes don't feel like they have a voice up there for the future. Basically, I want to get out there and I want to get my hands dirty. I want to do what we got to do to make this city better. We've got a lot of opportunity out there. We can really build Owensboro up. We have a wonderful, wonderful community. We have wonderful, wonderful people, but we have to build upon that. We can't look backwards unless it's to tell us what we did wrong so that we can learn and grow. So on November 6th, I want you to remember that a vote for me is a vote for you. Vote 6 on the 6th.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to HRC and as well as Brescia. This was a very good experience for us to get our platform, but more importantly to hear from the community of what you all have to say. That's been some of the most important things that I think we can all agree on throughout our campaign, and it's been a truly great experience. My name is Rick Searcy. I truly present myself humbly as a candidate for City Commission. I've had the experience. I really believe that Owensboro's better days are ahead of us, but we are going to have to start investing in ourselves first. We invest in ourselves first by coming together, even on issues that we may not agree on, and finding common grounds. We also have to have a city hall that's going to be creative and find different solutions, but I'm 100% positive after the people I've met and the leadership up here that this can be done, and if this can be done, let's work together and let's make this a better community for us and our children and grandchildren. Thank you all.
Thank all of you here tonight. I must say that just check my record over the last 4 years, see how I've voted, ask the county judge and the other commissioners what kind of job I've done, what kind of job they think I'll continue to do. I'm there for the people, always have been, always will be. Vote for Mike Cogar on November the 6th, and I guarantee you, you'll see the success. Thank you. Goodbye.
Once again, thanks Brescia, HRC. You guys have done a wonderful job. Thank you for the questions tonight. Those were some pretty tough questions. As we close this session up and get ready to head to a new commission, as we've heard about up here tonight, I hope that everyone understands. Make sure you make prudent choices, but please go vote. That's your right and your privilege, and whoever you vote for. It's been an honor to serve you. I always forget something, and I'm going to take care of it right now. My wife Lynn has been here with me. Thank you. My children have supported me. I'm proud to be part of this community. I can't say how honored I am to be able to serve you guys. It's just been an absolute pleasure. I get to work around the most dynamic people in the business that I work in. I get to work around dynamic people in our community, and I get to work with this team of commissioners that we currently have sitting and a mayor. We've got some new folks at City Hall with a new city manager, a new assistant city manager, and some positions that have been filled. Those guys are young, they're aggressive, they're dynamic, and I'm hoping to have the opportunity to work with them again to continue this progress that we're looking forward to. Thank you, and I would appreciate your vote and be honored to serve you again.
My name is Megan Hagan, number 11 on the ballot. No more closed-door meetings where things are voted on that we don't know about. Let's see. No more. One of the questions that was asked, I believe that if I had $1 million, I'd put it towards. Babysitting, child care for our kids, because a lot of times millennials, they're having to struggle between. They can't even move out of their own parents' house a lot of the times. I don't think that most people realize that. So more diversity in City Hall, more, this is really intimidating. I have to explain yourself in a minute, so I really apologize. I'm not good at public speaking. My name is Megan Hagan. I'm here. This is all I know, and I'm really humbled to be here in front of you guys, and yeah, thank you.
I want to thank you all for having us here. I want to thank the college. My name's Andy Gamblin. I'm number 12 on the ballot. If you want your taxes cut, I'm the man, okay? If you want some good high-paying jobs, I want to be there. I want to help bring them in. We need to work with our schools. We need to work with the young people, get them trained. We need to work with the technical colleges. We need to work with the unions. The unions can train these kids, and so we need to do that. And if you want somebody that will watch over the citizens here in Owensboro, I'm the person. Vote number 12, November 6th. God bless you, and have a good night.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Not for sure how many people really know, but do you really know what today is? Today is National Unity Day, a day dedicated toward kindness, toward acceptance, toward inclusion. That's what it is today. It's great to be able to have it on an event sponsored by the Human Relations Commission, even my opening remarks that went to that. But City Hall over the last 2 years has had some transformations. We've had some management transformations, as Jay just said. We have a new breed that's coming in, a new group of individuals, the new millennials, or anyone else that's happening. It is occurring. All you have to do is look. New management's at OMU. We have even a new one that's probably coming at EDC. The CVB was only a year ago where we had new management. So you've got a lot of that is changing, but yet our community is one of the best ones that you will ever be around. And I will put us up against anyone in the state of Kentucky or even in our nation. I love our city. I love it always. I ask for your vote. My name is Larry Conder. Thank you very much for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please use the voter guide that you picked up on your way in. If you have any questions regarding where you have to vote, where you go to vote, your precinct, before the notes page, there is a page for a website you can go to and put in your address, and you'll get your exact location. We'd like to thank, on the behalf of Brusha University and the Owensboro Human Relations Commission, thank you so much, candidates, for coming this evening, and thank you for the community, Owensboro community, for coming and participating and really doing your civic duty. So please, on November 6th, don't sit this out. Please go vote. Thank you.